evaluation of the public authority file do not entirely contrast, these assessments are likely to cause significantly more uproar in their disbursements.
Okay. After that, all the things explained by the 4 members, the tableau, classification and clustering, I'm just analyzing and resulting all the data. As we all know, the global data is contain too much data, so it is hard for like the normal person to understand. Like in the first point, it was the macroeconomic data, so it contained too much economic things. Like it was different from the monetary market and different from the general market. Like most of the thing, like we normally know about the economic data, it will show us how a person can need to pay for the taxes and for the development in the economy, and how they need to spend other different categories of amount in the different thing. Like it will helpful for the clients from and the public authorities who just want to do a different development in the different areas. As in the third point, like it is not easy for a normal person. It is a negative point for the data. Like it is not easy and clarify data for a normal person to understand. Like it need to clarify in a shorter way, as our team presented. Like we just present in a shorter way so that it will be helpful for a person to understand in an easy manner. And in the next point, the GDP, the growth GDP rate of the economy is totally connected with the economic data. Like if the economic data is grown by the time, that GDP will also show a positive slide. And after that, the joblessness of rate, the unemployment rate, which is too higher in the India because of the too much population. So it will influence negative things. As far as it influenced by the one group member, it shows us on the 7th point as compared to the Hong Kong, which is the higher, because they have a more educated person and a more job opportunities in the market. And after that, the main problems and the conclusion are explained by the sir.
Hello everyone, I'm Sagun and I'm going to continue the topic that we've started. So as you all know, the business problem was related to economic freedom of the world. For this, we needed to address a few components. For example, number 1, we needed to test whether the sub-components included in the report are good measures of economic freedom or not. Because as this data is used by many research scholars, we need to know that if the sub-components in the data are adequately presented or not. For that, first of all we visualize the data, and from the visualization we got a very clear picture of how a certain country is performing, and from there on we classified and clustered the data. From there we got to know that there are certain components. For example, so from there we got to know that there are certain components like property rights, impartial courts, and a few more which need to be changed, or governments need to form a policy related to this so that economic changes can be brought on and economic freedom can increase in the
okay, good. I have to stop you.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Please give this team a good evaluation. Yeah, wonderful tableau, that visualization, and also Excel work. Yeah, not work. Yeah, and our video for detail, like level, like 2+5 detail. Okay, make sure you do that in your final. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's welcome the last to the best. Yeah, of course. Are you there, Carly? Yes, over there. Why are you still there? You are the team leader. So make sure. Yeah, you really connect. That's good. Yeah. Wow, it's working. Yeah, look at that. Okay, go ahead. Diabetes. Yeah, very interesting question.
Good evening, Professor. Good evening, colleagues. Well, the first question that we need to ask all of us is, well, everybody has heard about diabetes, right? Not a word. So, can diabetes be predicted? First, we need to know about what is exactly diabetes. So, what do we have here? Actually, how does it work? Okay. We like sugar. What the sugar does? It goes into our body, and pancreas generates a hormone that is called insulin. The insulin, it's the one that conveys sugar into energy through our whole system, right? So what about when we eat a lot of sugar? What do we have is an excessive amount of it in our body. So during the time of what happened next is that the pancreas will not be able to produce it at all, that is diabetes type 1, or in less quantities that we are digesting. So what happens next, or what is actually disease that happens to people, is that eventually you need to control it. It's a chronic disease.
I have a diabetes too, but I control it.
Yeah. The thing is that it's a chronic disease that every month or like every day you need to consume to use pills or a treatment. Okay? So it's expensive, right? So even though we can go back with diabetes, what we can do is first control it, but we think that is very important if we can predict it. So this amazing team that we have gathered, we analyze all of the information that was on our data. Our data was mainly 250,000 lines. That was an interview of patients in the US, okay, about their health condition. What was their BMI, if they consume alcohol, if they ever had a heart disease, or if they have a heart attack, and etc., etc., etc. Okay, we have like 22 variables or characters that tells us about this information. So even though the information was a little bit was huge, what we did, we cut it to 2,400. So from that, we analyzed information to the group. I don't know what happened to the graph, but what we did, we analyzed on by the CRISP model, right? We identify the problem, okay? We understand the data. We collect the data, we do the modeling, PR validation, and after that we need the presentation of the validation of the results. Okay?
Okay, good evening everyone. Canada and really all countries around the world has a big problem. This problem is named diabetes. It's estimated that 1 in 4 people in Canada have this diabetes. It's very high problem, health problem for the
developing country even worse
because they spend a lot of money every year. The big problematic is that Canada spend the budget in train the diabetes and not prevent the problem. Because with the time it's normal that this number of the seats will be 13.8 million for 2026, and the budget for the diabetes is 16 billion of Canadian dollar per year. Canadian is one of the best system health around the world. However, continue with the biggest problematic. Okay, and only in the treatment is $7 billion per year, and this represents 43% of the total budget for the diseases. And please continue.
Okay, so the database we used for this assignment was one obtained out of Eagle. It shows like Jonathan said, two columns that are actually two variables, more than 250,000 rows. We adjusted this database to 2,400 rows, randomly selected. And the variables actually stay the same, even though we used different, for each one of the models used, we use different variables. We have a total of 17 qualitative variables and a total of 5 quantitative variables. The principal variable was the presence of diabetes. The principal quantitative variable was body mass index, and the principal qualitative variables were cholesterol, blood pressure, and physical activity.
Good evening, everyone. So part of the variables was age and sex. So here, the ages are distributed as follows: 18 to 24 and up to 80 and above. So this is my tableau. These are tableau visualization for the male, the female. Now we are trying to see. We have three variables. Diabetes. We are trying to predict diabetes, pre-diabetes, and no diabetes. Factors that would cause diabetes. So we got, for this represents pre-diabetes, this represents no diabetes, and this represents diabetes. So this is for the age distribution for the female and for the male. It's just a second.
So who have more diabetes, male or female?
So I already have my slides. So this is my story. This is the first story. The first story is trying to show the relationship between age, diabetes, and BMI distribution. So this is checking the weight in the female, this is checking the weight in the male, and how it contributes to diabetes. So this is checking the age, the female and the male. At 18, for instance, here at between 18 to 24, how many male are prone to diabetes given the age distribution based? So the second story shows the relationship between high BP and diabetes. This shows male and female with high BP, and this is their age distribution. You can see those with pre-diabetes are so small. The distribution is so small compared to no diabetes and diabetes. So that's it. And this is showing those that consume heavy alcohol. Heavy alcohol consumption. This is heavy. This is for people with diabetes. This is for people with pre-diabetes, and this is for people with no diabetes. This shows that of the data we got from people with no diabetes, it shows that just 4.41% of them consume alcohol, and so on. So this is stroke versus diabetes. We have so many variables, but these were the ones I picked to visualize. So this is stroke versus diabetes, smokers versus diabetes.
Okay. After the reservation with tableau, what we get is the diabetes, pre-diabetes, and no diabetes. We reduce them into two: diabetes and no diabetes, to do a better analysis of the data, because we had too much. It was a big data set. For the female clustering, we had already in 3 clusters in the evolution inertial graph. Next slide, please. Giving us in each cluster, the number of objects binding to each cluster, and then that the number 2 cluster had the most data behind that cluster. Here we have the distance between the centroids and the clusters, and here we have the average of the clusters of the centroids and clusters. Next.
So which cluster have diabetes?
Which cluster of diabetes?
Cluster 1?
The number 3 clusters.
Okay.
Okay. Next. This is our graph. We found that the variables doesn't have any relation between them. They have orthographic disperse between the variables. That's because we have a yes and no answer. Diabetes, no diabetes. In this cluster, it's like diabetes, no diabetes. So it's not correlation between the data. Next. The first classification method that we did, it was logistic regression. We did 2 approaches to logistic regression. First, with the whole 22 variables, and we start doing iterations. We finally did 5 iterations. Each iteration consisted of the first evaluating with variables have the recipe value, the highest p-value, sorry, one that's 0.05. And we took out the three most high p-value variable for the next iteration. Finally, at the fifth iteration, okay, we have the results with the 9 variables in total results with all p-values below 0.05, and this is our first score. Next. For the variation, we have the coefficient matrix, we have a percentage of 81.75%, a good for classification, how good is our classification of 49.1%, if we have the area under the curve of 0.786 in the rock. That's okay. In the second approach, we took
Okay.
in the second approach, we only took the variable that had something with the rating. We took out the variable that had with income or education that had nothing to do with the problem. And what we did.
So, what are just quickly show this regression? I know that because I have a meeting with SVM. Okay. Okay. Good.
Also,
as our curve. Okay. Very good. Like you guys. Good job. Thank you. Please give equal evaluation for the team. Okay. So good job, right? Yeah. So look for you final exams. Okay. Good job.
Yeah, we put a lot of time.
Lot of time. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Take out all the variables that we have no congruency with the problem.
Excellent work.